As you can imagine, for those left behind, friends, family of those who were killed on the Avera St. Luke's crash, this is going to be a very difficult day, and the next couple days is going to be very difficult as well. How do you get through this? How can you fathom that folks that work to save lives lose theirs while trying to just help someone else out? Robert Wilson live in the newsroom now. They're bringing counselors in for those folks, huh, Robert?
Yes, they are. Brian, we've been up at Avera McKinnon a couple of times this morning where they were video streaming a press conference, a number of press conferences that were happening up at Avera St. Luke's. 9 o'clock, we met up there, and they were somewhat hopeful at that point. They thought they had heard from somebody at the crash site, thought there was at least one survivor. There was another press conference at 11 o'clock that was again video streamed down to Avera McKinnon down here in Sioux Falls. Sat in on that one at that point. We understand that they understood, they knew at that point that there were no survivors. As you can imagine, it was a much more somber scene. We heard that they have grief counselors working with employees and family members and trying to get through this as quickly as we can. We'll have much more on this tonight, but Brian, quite a developing story there as well.
Yeah, from a glimmer of hope to no hope, Robert. Thank you. Let's go back to Doland. KSFY's Tom Powell standing by live as our live team coverage continues here on Dakota First News. Tom, you've talked to the farmer who found the crash site, is that right?
That's right, Brian. Actually, there were two farmers that are working early this morning. They actually turned on the TV and saw that this helicopter had gone down, and then they immediately went out and looked for it. And when they came up on this site, they saw what looked like just debris. They thought it just looked like they didn't know what it was, but they didn't think that it could possibly be a helicopter crash because it was so low in the field. But they did call police then. They said it's very sad, and of course they feel terrible for those families.
Tom, what's the terrain like of the crash site? Flat, hilly? Are there dips in the land there that would make it difficult to see from the road to begin with?
Well, you know, it looks pretty flat from here, and the soybeans, I believe they are just about knee-high. And you can't see the debris above that, so the debris is completely flattened on there. And when those two gentlemen went through that and looked, they said it was just devastating. They said, of course, immediately they went to look for survivors, but there were none. So as soon as they saw it, they called the police. Like I said, they found out from the TV earlier this morning that a helicopter had gone down, so they immediately went and did what they were supposed to do. They went and looked and found it.
And Tom, we're sorry to interrupt you there. We were just running some aerials there of the crash site, the eagle view, I guess, from the sky, and you see a burn mark and you see maybe a little push of impact, but no real debris. Tom Powell, I know that you and Chris Studer will have more on this story tonight on the news at 6 and 10. Thank you for your live coverage today. And thank you for joining us on what has been a sad day. We will continue to bring you the latest on this developing story, the crash of an Avera St. Luke's helicopter, that helicopter based out of Aberdeen. Remember, coming up at 12:15, an ABC News special report concerning a heightened sense of security now about terrorist attack, the national alert level going from yellow to orange, the first time that the threat con level has been increased since that color-coded threat system was introduced back in March. I'm Brian Allen. Good afternoon.